The views, language, and candor expressed on this series are designed to provoke thought and conversation amongst adults. Some opinions and perspectives may be unsuitable for those who are emotionally weak. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to Coach's Decision with Chris P. Reed, where we dive into topics each week that could help you or someone close to you get through. Many of my clients are skilled at the game of life, but there are times when you have to protect the players from themselves. There are times where you need a coach's decision. My top client and producer will enlist the help of you, the audience, to navigate these times each week. Hey, bro, what you got for us this week?
If I can come off mute. So this week, I was thinking about the thought that you had. It was on feasibility and making sure things are feasible. Um, I don't know. Like sometimes you feel like if you're in a crowded congregation or something like that, sometimes you feel like things are directed towards you.
Mhm.
So I try not to feel like that, but I think it kind of was. And you were trying to hide a message in there and call us delusional a little bit. So can you give us an overall summary of what you meant by feasibility?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I learned this when I was living in Memphis. Hit dog gonna holler. So if you felt it, you know what I'm saying. If it don't apply, let it fly. My father-in-law always say. But the idea of feasibility is the fact that are the things that you're talking about, are the things that you're opining over or missing, even things that could have happened, right? So I'll give you a great example from where we from. It's a lot of people who still to this day contest or contend that they could have made it to the league. These are people that didn't start their grade school team. They didn't start their high school team. You know what I'm saying? They killed at the park, but they was uncoachable, undisciplined, overweight, not the right shoes. All these other reasons why the chances of them making to the league was astronomical. But in their mind, they've convinced themselves and would fight with others, verbally, that they could have had a chance to be at a paid for play position in this world. And it's just not feasible. But they adopt that emotion early on and carry that throughout their lives. And the story becomes real. It becomes real. You gotta and there's a lot of other instances where that's true, especially romantically. Absolutely romantically, where men and women believe that they could have had a shot with somebody that the math ain't math and no. You know what I'm saying? The math ain't math.
Let me take romantically another way.
Okay.
You challenged me to
Hmm.
come up with somebody
Hmm.
who I thought was feasible,
Yes.
someone who exists. So I'm not delusional in picking a partner, right?
Correct.
In my journey, I feel like you sent me on a blind mission,
Okay.
like Leroy's master sent him.
Right.
Um, I can't. So if I say I want someone like my grandmother, I don't know how my grandmother is romantically.
That's correct.
So I can't say her.
That's not true. What you can say is somebody that embodies certain qualifications or qualities of your grandmother. Obviously, hopefully, prayerfully, you don't know how your grandmother reacts romantically, nor do you know how your grandmother reacts fiscally as far as managing the money and things of that nature. All you know is she can cook good biscuits and the pancakes be nice and good for you and things of that nature. So it's okay to ask for that as part of the package. The problem is there are no two people that are alike. It's like snowflakes, right? And so, any idea of being overly prescriptive that you want a woman to replace another woman, that's not feasible. There's no one for one. Everything, she walks like her, talks like her, looks like her, thinks like her, drinks like her. That's not the case. There are characteristics that are overarching that can, in a Venn diagram, overlap from woman to woman. And so, what I say is create a qualification of things that you know you can't do without. If you like a family valued woman, if you like a good clean Christian woman, if you like a 5'6" or above woman, women are big on this height thing, right? For men, if you have certain things that are just non-negotiable, if it's skin tone, if it's hairstyle, if you like a woman that doesn't shave, You know what I'm saying? You have to be very, very particular as to what you put out there emotionally into the universe and what you articulate. It's the power of the tongue type thing we've talked about in the past. So when I say, yes, you want somebody who imbues certain qualities or traits that your grandmother did exhibit to you, nurturing and things of that nature. But I guarantee you, you don't want somebody raised in the 70s. I guarantee, or the 40s or the 50s, whatever the case. There's too many disparate things that would occur for you to have a replacement of your grandmother, and it would spook out the whole family when you brought her to the picnic and such.
It would. It would. So what happened to the great philosopher? I think he goes by the name of Nasir Nas.
Right.
He said, "If you can believe it, you can achieve it."
So any
So
idea? The thing about it is this: I have a family that exists of artists and sales folks and believers. The idea that belief is so powerful that you can manifest. So they talk about this on the internet a lot now, right? The manifesting of this and the thoughts and the power of the mind. And nobody's a super villain that can conjure up things, right? I think it's a situation where your belief has to be grounded in something that's somewhat attainable, or you'll continue to disappoint yourself throughout your life. You know, once again, you get to a certain age where you age out of becoming an astronaut. You get to a certain weight where you wait out of becoming an astronaut. You get to a certain intelligence level where you fail out of becoming an astronaut. I don't care how much you believe you should be an astronaut. I don't care how much you believe you're the right person for this other person. All of their actions and activities have shown you you're wrong. And we have such a disdain for being incorrect that we try to will things into existence. And that's how stalkers are born. That's, you know what I'm saying? It gets bad real quick. When you want it when you want it for both of y'all, it's just a bad situation. So any idea of not saying you got to believe it, you have to believe it with a situation of things that reinforce that you're headed down the right path. I've classically said in many of my sessions that up until you're 25, you should be a dreamer. Everything's on the table. There's opportunity and possibility for you to do so many things. The world is your oyster. After you hit 25, you have to become a forecaster. You have to look at the signs and look at the maps and you have to forecast, because life is really narrowing in on you and your maturity level. Now, if you have children, erase about 6 years from everything I just said. Like take that back. If you're 19, forget that, and you got a kid, forecasting. We're forecasting. I look at my 401k. I look at things that college tuition funds and different things. These are forecasts that I put in place, and it gives me an estimation of what it's going to end up being if I keep doing what I'm supposed to do. If you go to these classes and you listen to this, you will get a certificate from a university that says you're qualified in that. This is forecasting your life, because then if you get that certificate, you can then get a nice job in that area. You're not just believing and dreaming that you're going to be, you know what I'm saying, the director of something or you know, in something high level, because you didn't put in the work. The work has to happen at some point.
okay, so would you say, as Jasmine would say, they're delulu if they're comparing their lives to social media highlights?
Once again, you have behaviors and you have traits. And I have come to the understanding that certain people have belief and have ambition and are artists in their minds. They want it so bad that they can't see anything else. And they feel like if I have a single focus, I'm powerful enough to once again manifest that into reality. And that's cool if reality agrees with you. The good thing about reality is time-based. And so at some point, reality has shown you enough. What we try to do is we try to align ourselves with the outlier. Now, social media, what it does is it provides glamour shots. So it's made up, it's fraudulent, it's fashioned for the occasion, it's contrived. As you once famously said, if it's on TV, it's for TV. Like there's a designation here that they're trying to accomplish. So nobody puts uncurated things on social media. I believe that if you just want to, it's safer to think that everything is fake, everything is semi-scripted, and then you can go from there. But when you start thinking that I'm going to duplicate what I see on social media without any other context, I don't know anything else but what I see at that moment in time, and I'm going to create a persona around what I think or what I believe. Think about all of the, so think about all of the love and something shows, all of the turmoil and strife and complaints and all this that. Now, when you see them drinking the champagne flutes and with the nice dresses and the nice suits on and all this and all that, that moment in time is a great moment. But then they go home and they throwing bottles at each other's head and they, getting arrested and they on TMZ. It's all encompassing. So no, you can't take just the good in anything. If you follow somebody or you track someone and everything they have is smooth, everything they have is good, no breakups, no heartbreaks, no crying, no nothing, they good tithers and all of that, I would encourage you patterning yourself after that if that's what you want. But don't think that you're so great that you're going to be absolve all of the bad stuff about her or him and only keep the good stuff. And then somebody else is going to see that in you. That's another problem when you're trying to convert someone to see that you're like this person. You're driving the same color car as Lil Wayne, and this guy rims like Lil Wayne's. You don't rap. You're driving that to an accounting firm. That nobody's confusing you with Lil Wayne at that point. You just have a car that you've seen in the Bling Bling video. This is silliness. So I don't want to just dismiss it as being delusional, because some people have faith and ambition, but at some point in time, when you have other people to answer to or other people that depend on you, you have to qualify it with reality.
So you touched on Lil Wayne a little bit, and Cash Money.
He has tattoos on his face. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Is it also delulu to think that you're going to reap the results of something that you didn't put the work in for?
It's once again, it's possible. And I'm not giving you the through God, all things are possible type of speech. What I am saying is sometimes you happen to find grace, you happen to find mercy, you happen to walk up on, you Kramer your way into a blessing. That's absolutely the case. You can also kick a basketball into a hoop. That's not a shot. You have to always try to calibrate your life and your choices on what consistently will provide you happiness, what consistently will provide you success. The greatest level of success is based off of consistency and continuity. Can you maintain it and sustain it over time? We talk all the time about being a good 7. I know you don't believe in 7s when it comes to, but you want to be on a continuum where if you're at a 7 and you dip, that's fine. It's going to happen. Shit happens in life. You can go up to a 10, but if you got somebody that's always claiming to be a 10, run. If you got somebody that's always claiming to be a 4, run. You got to have somebody that's like right in the sweet spot and they can kind of come up and do some things and then come back down and really coast at that 7, 8 range. And I think that's a good space to be in, because then you can absorb the highs and the lows a little bit better. If you're always high, everything is a low when something goes wrong. When it rains or, you stub your toe, then it's dismal because you're so used to being high.
We have people who want to enter relationships with nothing and gain everything. Mm-hmm. Is that the feasibility delusion, or is that another topic?
So I think that no, it's not another topic. Coach Parcells, NFL coach, said you are what your record says you are. A lot of times people say, I'm better than that. Man, we better than that. We deserve, go back to the deserve thing. We deserve this, we deserve that. If your last boyfriend was really the same dude with just a different name, different jobs, same bank account level. Like I said, we had a conversation about Sierra a long time ago, and they were saying she dated Bow Wow and 50 and Russell Wilson and Future. And they were like, these guys are totally different. They're all the same guy at Bank of America, right? Like there's a commonality that's a type that she does have. It's just not a physical type that you and I would see or a social type that you and I would establish. But these guys at the time were definitely independently financially wealthy, right? Or stable financially. So that was her type. In the idea of being in a relationship, to say that you're better than something and that you deserve something that you haven't contributed to or that you can't equal, the equally yoked thing is really the most sustainable, successful pattern that you can imagine for long-term success in a relationship. This is why people who get married in college, when they're both in college, tend to have longer marriages, or people that meet in high school when they're both in high school tend to have longer marriages. Like there's a commonality of we were on the same page. Now, even if you shot up while we were together, that's okay because I was there to see the struggle. I was there to see the opportunities that you did take and didn't take, and the missteps that you may have had. But when you get with someone and you're bringing in a percentage of what they are bringing to the table, whether that be financial or otherwise, whether that be spiritual, whether that be emotional. A lot of people don't have a high EQ, right? And when you feel like you're dragging someone along, a relationship is like a marathon. And the fact you got to have a partner that runs about the same time as you do, or at least be able to see them to keep you motivated, right? You can't be in a situation where they just outrunning you. You done lost sight of them because now you're running alone in essence. And so in these relationships and people feel like I'm gonna come in and catch me somebody that's better than me. What is better, first of all, is better just financially. And I know we tend to think that a lot, you know what I'm saying? But is the idea of what are you bringing to the table? Because not everything is equal. We talk about the ounces, the glasses, right? Being a 44 ounce to 20 ounce, but where are your ounces versus their ounces? And I think that unfortunately, and I'm just going to say this, some people make a unqualified and inappropriate equation to youth and beauty. And they feel like that's a currency when life has shown you it's a depreciating asset.
That's harsh. So you saying this feasibility kind of protects you in the long run. I think that's what I'm hearing. So if you check and make sure things are feasible, to make sure you're not delusional, and you're saying to stop trying new things or stop venturing out after 25? Like, can you still try new things at 25? And if you try new things, is having a plan B part of the feasibility or part of a failure?
I like the plan B reference, right? So the situation is I'm really big on accountability buddies. I'm really big on finding someone, whether it be a friend or a parent or a lover or whatever the case may be, that you can confide in your dreams and ideas and desires and ask them for candid feedback to say, what do you think? If we sat down and you said, hey, I am so charged up about this NFL draft, so much so that I'm going to start working out because no matter how old you are, if you can do it, you can do it. I need to really sit down and have a conversation with you and say, when's the last time you run? When was the last time you put on pads? When's the last time you got, like, how feasible is this? It doesn't mean that you don't have that desire in your heart and that childlike enthusiasm, but you have to have someone to calibrate some of these wild thoughts because dreamers dream. I'm not saying don't be a dreamer if you're a dreamer. Be who you are. Lean into that. But you have to have a situation where you have to be able to bounce that off of someone you can trust, whether it be a therapist or a coach or whatever the case may be, and say, how far-fetched is this? I want to start an ant farm business to sell ant farms. Well, what's the ant farm market look like? And what are you trying to make out of this? Are you just trying to provide ant farms to people for fun? Or are you trying to make a profit and be a millionaire? And if you're trying to be a millionaire selling sea monkeys or whatever, used to be the thing, slinkies, then that's not feasible. And a lot of times we get so stuck in, I want it so badly. And because I want it, I'm going to get it or I'm going to have it. Once again, that's a stalking mentality, a stalking behavior. And anytime you use the term stalking, that's not a positive thing. It's not unless you're a predatory animal. There's never anything good to come out of stalking for you, long term.
I thought you were gonna say a bean plant, but have we lost that sense of grind as time has progressed? So as Jasmine's saying, the truth, you have to be more than a pretty face. You have to be more than just luck into stuff and win the lottery. Have we lost sense of that?
So what I'll say in that regard is you don't have to be more than a pretty face and you don't have to keep yourself up. There is an industry based off BBLs and BBWs and BB shots, right? There's something for everyone, right? What you have to find is who likes you and not try to convert people into who you want to be ultimately. I think a lot of times we think aspirationally and we talk about ourselves in future terms. That's an absolute no-no. If I meet someone, if I meet a person and they want to do business with me, we're not talking about anything they've not done yet. We're talking about plans that they've already written out and they've tested, and we're talking about a current credit score and a demographic and things of that nature. If I was to meet a young lady and I'm dating, I'm not having conversations about who she wants to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's really so much more important of where you are now and us build that foundation then. And once I'm comfortable with who you currently are, now we can talk about who you choose to be. We all think we're running out of time and we got to hurry up and get to that. Time is the one thing you'll lose and never find again. So to be judicial with your time and measure twice, cut once, that's the feasibility. The feasibility is sometimes a good conversation is a good conversation. It's a lesson in itself. Every date, first date, second date, third date, doesn't end in marriage. Matter of fact, most of them don't. Stop thinking that I need to get all this out of my list. I remember we talked about a young lady who had a list, and she would go through date one, this checklist, and it was killing her. She wasn't successful. She wasn't successful until she had to realize, okay, wait a second. Before this guy qualifies for a date with me, I have to do some reconnaissance. I have to do some preamble type things that makes me understand he at least can get to that point where he's in my presence. It's not about a meal anymore. But the reality of it is, I think that what we tend to do is we want it so bad. We want it bad enough for both of us. And I'll convert you to my way of thinking. And I come to you with this business idea, and I want this business idea so bad that I'm going to sell it to you. Even though you've shown me nothing about wanting ant farms or beard. I'm selling you beard care, right? I'm like, hey, man, it's this oil. And you like, fam, you don't have a beard. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So sometimes you have to be able to stop the situation, call a timeout, and say, wait a second, let's expand this and think big picture. How does this end? How does this look? If everything works out perfectly, what's the outcome? If things start to go left or right, what is the fallback? What are the contingencies? And if we think like that and we operate like that, I believe that it doesn't matter what you bring to the table as long as it's attractive to the person that you're presenting to. So you don't have to be and everybody on this show should know somebody that you look at them and look at their person and say, I can't see why she's with him, or I can't see why she's. And what we try to do is we qualify credit scores and financial success, right? This dude is butt ugly, and he with a chick that's decent. He a 2, she a 6, and they think she should have just came with a 6. Her qualifications was different than what she was looking for in that person. And it could have been financial, it could have been whatever, but whatever her qualifications was is what she was up on. He shouldn't have went and got surgery or got his hair sewn in to try to qualify. That junk is fleeting. So I do believe that sometimes women put an undue burden on themselves trying to be overly this or overly that, when the fact is there's someone, my grandma used to say, there's somebody for everybody, baby. There's somebody for everybody. So you just got to be patient and present yourself authentically. And that person will be attracted to you like a moth to flame.
Okay, I don't know about that if we calculate the women versus men. But
it's there.
Any other tools to be successful and being feasible? I don't know a dude who likes a BBL. So like a survey to see who likes BBLs, or any other tools people can use to make sure that they're not delusional.
Once again, it's a situation of how you qualify like. Some things that are novelties, people are attracted to. That doesn't mean they want it. It's just like going on vacation. It's a good place to visit. You don't want to live there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody think they want to live on an island until the hurricane come every year, right? Like every year. Then they mad at the island. The island's always been like that. So in the idea of what you like is what you like. You know, the heart wants what the heart wants. In the idea of feasibility to check it, I am really big on consulting with the pillow, meaning write these things down. Write these ideas that's in your head down on paper. Let that marinate. Give it a day, give it 2, whatever is comfortable for you, and then read it again. Read. If you don't have an accountability buddy, you have to be your own buddy, right? But if you have a buddy, you can translate that to their buddy immediately and say, what you think about this? Based on you knowing me. And I don't plan on changing that much. What do you think about this? And your buddy is saying, that doesn't. If I start talking to you about getting a monster truck or a truck jacked up, you're gonna say, where is this coming from? For what? You've never talked about a jacked up truck. Like, what's going on? Because sometimes we go through things and we feel like we're changing our mind or we're changing our pattern. But the reality of it is, no, it's just the spur of the moment. It's just one of those things. And so you have to be cognizant of what you're actually putting out there, because that's how you get that sadness that you not where you're supposed to be, and you're not doing what you got to look at your report card and say, okay, listen, I didn't get this grade because I didn't pass these tests. I am where I am because I tried the shortcut, or I gave somebody else power over my destination. I gave somebody else the keys, woke up and we was in a whole different direction. That happens a lot in life, where you trust in someone and you invest in them, and they send you down a desperate path. And now you have to try to either claw your way back or say, okay, I'm here now. What do I do going forward? That's what life coaching is all about, going forward. It's, hey, we're going to prepare you for how to be the best you can from this point on. That's the situation. But, you know, I just think that we got to be mindful of where we put our energies and our efforts, you know, and there's got to be a better way. But never gamble in a game that you can't play.
Okay. Well taken, well received. I do know a guy who he was too old to be doing it, but he was like dreaming real big, and it was something that he had never seen before, and he just had big dreams, and he was trying to tell everybody about it and got them all hyped up, and it never happened. So he ended up dying. I'm talking about Martin Luther King, but it wasn't feasible when he was doing that. But with that said, tell us about the dream, Coach. Tell us about the dream.
Let me say this in that regard, though. I do believe that regardless if your dream comes to pass or not, if your desires come to pass or not, if you cannot be a blamer and can stand on business and say, this is what I did or did not do to help that, and don't expect for people to give you a break or give you anything, if everything is earned and you have an earnings report, right? Then you can say, it just wasn't my time. It just was. No sport you go undefeated except boxing, right? Like no pay for sport do you go, everybody gets punched in the mouth and everybody gets knocked out or beaten at some point in time. And then you have to come back. My coach used to say, the triumph of a true champion is the perseverance through adversity. So if anybody can do it when you're undefeated. Y'all never lost. Man, everybody loves that team. But it's that, and they say in the NCAA tournament, they want them to lose early to get it out the way. I always thought that was crazy. I just never want to lose, right? But then I started thinking about the fact that sometimes you want to condition yourself and build that callus up. So in the idea of just because it's something that didn't happen the way in which you wanted it to, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It may still happen, but you have to continue to evaluate, is this still for me? And reevaluate, is this still for me? And check yourself. But your conscience, your women's intuition, the Holy Spirit, whatever, is constantly telling you, come up off of this, come or stick with this. Something is pushing you towards it. When you're doing it for yourself, it's so much easier to calibrate and understand you headed in the right direction. When you find yourself doing it for other people, or for your mate to stay with you, or to keep this job, when you hate this job, that's when you're going against those intuitions and those spirits, and that's when you have the most sadness. So I think that you can believe, as long as you're willing to die with that belief in tow and say, hey, I believe to the last breath, have at it. But don't start complaining and crying about you not getting what you said you wanted when you never really did what it took to get that. So that's cool.
It was a burning house. But now tell us about the dream, Coach.
Right, cool. Cool. So this dream that I have, so the dream of the week, it was a situation where the town I'm from is not that large, but I had some cousins that end up coming up on some property, and they had an old church on the property. So because the property was there and the church was there, they started a church. Real simple math as far as they were concerned. So they decided to have the family come in and support the opening of the church. And they had a fish fry kind of picnic thing on Saturday before the Sunday service was to open the church. And we all there, and it's a gravel driveway type thing. It's nothing's paved. It's just a bad situation. And the issue is, it's a lot of my family. It's a lot of kids running around. Everything is good. It's sunny out that day, and it's going to be a good time. Ultimately, Sunday comes around. Another part of this was, couldn't get hotels, so we staying at people's houses on pallets and all that. My wife is livid. She is not a pallet person. She was not a whole bunch of people sharing a bathroom, holding it kind of person. And so that's how we started off that Sunday morning. So the dream kind of shifted. We at the house. It's everybody's like Gettysburg. It's bodies everywhere. And I, grew up like that. So I'm not tripping on it. My kids love it because they don't know no better. But anyway, we get ourselves together and we in our finest and we go to church. Now, once we go to church, the irony of it is, because it's my family, they're not prepared. So they need ushers on the spot that don't know what ushering is. Like nothing's ready. Nothing's ready. So people are all over the place. Well, ultimately, my mom gets, so we in the pews right now, like we in the pews. The pews aren't fixed to the ground. So these are movable. They long, but they movable, right?
Okay.
So they're not fixed to the ground. My wife is just really unhappy at this situation, but she gonna support the family. She goes support the family.
Layout. I like it.
Absolutely. So they get to the point where somebody says something on the microphone at the podium, up front, and it's one of the movable podiums. And then my mom get up in a canary yellow dress with sunglasses on indoors. My wife does not like people to wear sunglasses indoors, but my mom is giving the announcements. Now, keep in mind, it's the first Sunday.
Nice.
It's the first Sunday.
I like it.
So she's saying stuff that doesn't even, she's filling time. And it's really crazy. But she's waiting on somebody to come and kind of take over. And who comes in? Ghost from Power. Okay. But he's at least 120 pounds heavier. And his suit is pinstriped and tight. And so they like, oh, they got a special guest for the first service or whatever. But when you look over at Ghost, he like coming down the aisle and the pews are kind of away from the wall and the wall's got cracks in the bottom and all of that, whatever. Well, in the cracks, you kind of see some eyes in there. And so I hit my wife like, man, there's eyes in the wall. And then you hear like, the little chickering that mouse, the noise that mice make. Man, and the next thing you know, Ghost kind of going up to the front and we looking off to the right, and all these mice start coming out, and then rats start coming out. I mean, a pure infestation. So they hadn't got the church inspected, of course. So they done came on this property real cheap, and they tried to get this donation money. This before the SAP situation came out this week. But the moral of the story is, so people start stampeding out, but remember the pews ain't bolted down, so they flipping over and people trampling each other. And as my wife is running in front of me to my right, she's not looking. Now she's scaling these pews like a cat burglar found, right? Okay. But she's locking eyes with me as if, just wait till when we get out of this.
Are she mad at you?
Oh, furious.
Okay.
And then I woke up.
Was this the only property only like house on the property? Like
I remember like a barn in that scene where it was Saturday and people was kind of out there picnicking and all that. Mm-hmm. I remember a barn in the distance because I was out there playing with the kids because I like them, love the kids. But that was about it. But this was the old rickety church. It was a church, and they was like, oh, since it's a church here, we might as well start a church.
Who was the pastor?
I didn't get to that part. I'm positive I would have been asked to do it because that happens a lot. And like you'll show up and then they be like, somebody needs to say the blessing, and they be like, oh, come on and say the. I'm like, this ain't even my house. So
it doesn't happen at church though.
You would think not. You're not in my family.
Was there a choir?
No, it wasn't even no seats for the church. Was an old joint. It was one of them kind and where you open the door and you're in the sanctuary.
Was the parking lot full when you pulled up?
I didn't get to that when we was at the house and all those people was getting ready and she had to wait to go to the bathroom and get dressed and all that. The next scene in my dream was us there dressed appropriately.
So you said many different missing roles, yet you have ushers. You don't even have a pastor, but you have ushers.
That's the first thing you're gonna see when you go to church is the ushers. The doors open and somebody is seating you and putting you in position to get this word.
So if you had the program, how far along did y'all get? Announcements is probably first if you didn't have a choir or anything else.
Somebody was saying something before my mom, and I don't even know. It wasn't one of my aunts or anything, but they were saying something before my mom. But when my mom came up, the dress was so bright. It was for no reason at all. She had to been a canary yellow and then a dress like that. Like it had the popcorn sleeves and all. Like it was not even her style, but she had on these dark sunglasses. You know what I'm saying? So that's what really set it
That's
off.
my next question. Was it Easter?
No, it was not. It was not. It was they most of the people there was family, and I got a pretty decent sized family, so it was interesting. But yeah, that's what happened.
And Jasmine said, not Omari Hardwick, fat.
He was.
Was he
He was
in a
fat.
wheelchair?
He wasn't. He was, but the suit was snuggly. It was man. It was at least 2 sizes and a letter off what it should have been.
So he survived Tariq shooting, but he would just put on some weight. He's not able to work out.
Yeah, I don't know why he was even at the church in that town. I don't know who got him. Like, I didn't even give the dream enough distance for the family to get credit for who got him to come. Maybe he was going to be the pastor. Maybe he was going to bring the word. You know, he do spoken word. Yeah.
With him being so fat, was he able to scale these pews and get out?
Didn't even, man. I was so concerned about being in trouble with my wife when these rats and mice was coming out. Once we locked eyes, we was getting it, but it was like a anime, you know, type of situation. She was coming over the things, hand and feet, choop, 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 choop. But she looked at me, you know, I knew it was going to be a problem. And then luckily I woke up.
So. I think this is the reverse Garden of Eden thing.
Wow.
You're worried about feeding her the wrong fruit or taking her to the wrong place where these rats done ate these Bibles, and y'all can't even have
it never jumped off, man. The wall just opened up. Yeah, the wall just opened up and they just start coming out in droves. It was a Pied Piper situation, but no R. Kelly. So but with that, folks, tune in next week to Coach's Decision with Crispy Reed. Bring your baggage and drop it off, and we'll sort through it. Until next week, take it easy, or at least take it any way you can get it. Make sure you subscribe and like. We're going to keep this thing going. Thanks. Cool. We clear.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was